Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's dark outside. I wasn't going to do a video today, but then I thought, no, I should. Oh, here's Socks, he's fast asleep. We're about to cook pizzas for tea. And Socks is going to help. Aren't you, Socks? Probably not. Whoa. Oh, there he is. Can you see him? Well, we got a smashing parcel yesterday. With a card and books and packets of Dreamies. Do you want some Dreamies, Socks? I'll do that now. Oh, where are they? These are the catnip ones. Yep. Come on, I'll put some here. Look. What's there? From Julian and Graham, who watch this channel and follow me on Facebook and stuff. And they've sent us lovely... Whoops. Lovely things before, haven't they? You're all dopey because you fell asleep. Why don't you walk around the edge of the chair? Look, Dreamies. Oh. Clumsy cat, aren't you? We forget Socks is 16 years old. He's not as nimble as he was. There's our lovely card, look, and here's your Dreamies. And now everybody's going to hear you crunching them like mad. And they sent me lovely books. Again, which is really sweet. We love getting parcels, don't we? Kit Toal, Without Warning and Only Sometimes. Somebody I've not read before, I don't think. I'm not sure. Kit Toal grew up in a household of opposites and extremes. Her Irish mother rarely cooked, forbade Christmas and holidays, and believed the world would end in 1975. Meanwhile, her father stuffed barrels full of goodies for his relatives in the Caribbean and splurged money that he didn't have on cars, suits and shoes fit for a prince. Both her parents were waiting for paradise. It never came. Without Warning and Only Sometimes is the story of how Kit, her brothers and sisters, faced down hunger and hellfire with laughter and love, and sometimes found a way to escape. I'm aware of Kit Toal as somebody who has edited collections of pieces, stories and memoirs by working class writers. That's right. Chapter 1, this is how it opens. I will die. I will die for wanting Christmas, for the slip of red ribbon from a huge box, for dreaming of the presents inside. Fries, chocolate cream, things off the telly, other people's presents. I will die for a taste of turkey and the imagined feel of the frilly white cuffs around its juicy brown leg. I will die for the dream of a mince pie I have never tasted and the magic blue flame on a Christmas pudding. Just the picture of it. I will die because I want to pull a cracker, because I want to wear a hat. I didn't know about the jokes inside. I didn't know about the little gift. I will find out about them when I'm 17. Yep, this sounds good. And another memoir, I think, Dustin Lance Black, Mama's Boy. Dustin Lance Black wrote the Oscar-winning screenplay for Milk and helped overturn California's anti-gay marriage Proposition 8. But as an LGBT activist, he has unlikely origins, a conservative Mormon household outside San Antonio, Texas. There he was raised by a single mother who, as a survivor of childhood polio, endured brutal surgeries as well as braces and crutches for life. Despite the abuse and violence of two questionably devised Mormon marriages, she imbued Lance with her inner strength and irrepressible optimism. When Lance came out to his mother at age 21, she initially derided his sexuality as a sinful choice. It may seem like theirs was a house destined to be divided, and at times it was, but in the end they did not let their differences define them or the relationship that had inspired two remarkable lives. This heartfelt, deeply personal memoir explores how a mother and son built bridges across great cultural divides, and how our stories hold the power to heal. Again, blurbs kind of annoy me because they've got a function, haven't they? But they always end up quite cheesy. Both these books have lots of lovely black and white photos in snaps from family albums, which I always like to see in books, especially ones of this of these eras, the 70s and 80s, and before. It begins like this. This may come as a surprise to some, but I've always excelled at maths and science. It was 1988 when my high school physics teacher told me that nothing in the universe ever gets moving without being moved by an outside force. This was hardly a news flash. I'd already heard a lifetime of stories, mostly set in the small southern town of Lake Providence, Louisiana, that taught me that little ever moved or changed for our kin, at least not without dying. Death had been the only reliable mover where our family tree was planted. But as I was to math and science, I was drawn to these stories, and thanks to one in particular, I knew of an exception to our family rule. It was buried in the true tale of an outside force that had arrived with very little warning and got things moving in terrible, surprising, and bewildering ways. Yep, both of them look very promising as memoirs. So they're on the pile. Thank you to both Graham and Julian. And Sock says thank you as well for his dreamies. He's run off now. He has got a lovely supply of them now. As I said the other day, I'd come to the end of my book bag for the month, my 6 books of the month. And I've given myself afternoons of free choices to read. And I end up with short stories because I've not read short stories all month, I realise. And just next to me on the shelf here, I found this, which I've had for donkey's years, I think. Science fiction stories chosen by Edward Blishen. It's been repackaged over the years various times. This is Kingfisher, the publisher. I don't know who they were or who they are now. And it looks kind of bog standard, really, like lots of these books do. Lots of these bits are excerpts. It's from a series called The Story Library that Kingfisher did, looking at different genres. There's mystery ones, horror, ghosts, crime, fantasy. And I think there was a lovely box set of the whole lot. And because they're stories by Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, bits of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, Ursula Le Guin, it looks kind of bog standard. But there are British writers of the 70s, because this was 70s and 80s, because this was compiled in 88, the year that I went to university, actually. So it's not something I would have found in the library at the time I needed to, when I was about 9 or 10. It's a bit late for that, though there were anthologies like this back then. I have been eBaying and looking at some of these kind of library volumes to see which ones I might have read or might have missed when I was just the right age to read a certain kind of science fiction. Anyway, I've spent the afternoon reading how many of these? A handful of these, 5 or 6 of these, and they're just heaven. The excerpts from The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin is amazing. The boy fighting, Jed fighting the black dragon and killing all of his sons, and the writing is just thrilling. I forget that about Ursula Le Guin. This kind of spiny, spiteful dragon that he has to fight. And the bit from H.G. Wells about being invisible in London and going around Bloomsbury with nothing on and realising what invisibility actually means to the invisible man when he first starts off. And then a brilliant story by Nicholas Fisk, The Dog, The Boy, the Dog and the Spaceship, which I must have read before. It's one of those stories about scale and about flipping between the ordinary life on Earth and life in space aboard a spaceship, and the two colliding within the story. And a fantastic story by somebody called Glenn Chandler called Bobo's Star, about a boy who has a science kit in his bedroom and is building himself a star. and feeds it far more than he should. It's an old fairy tale kind of story, really, a science version, a science fiction version. And he starts putting sand and then bricks and then the garden gate and his mother's pots and pans and all of his sister's toys and everything he can lay his hands on into this star. He feeds it in this bell jar in which it's kept, this anti-grav machine. And of course it turns into something deadly and starts turning into a black hole and sucks everything into it. It's a brilliant story. And some of these other ones are familiar. A John Christopher story that I know from elsewhere, a Ray Bradbury story. The Arthur C. Clarke ones look or sound familiar. Anyway, it just reminds me how much I used to love these anthologies and how I love to return to the ones that made an impression on me, like this one, Constellations, from 1983, edited by Malcolm Edwards, which later came out in Puffin. This is a kind of school new windmill edition. Everything in this is... I can't even work out what my notes are saying. Probability something. Words. Don't know what that means. I've got post-it notes with cryptic notes to myself that are so cryptic I've no idea what I'm saying. So there's this, there's the Barbara Eisen books that Faber did, Fantasy Tales and Tales Out of Time. Can I get these down without pulling all the books down on top of me? Look at these, from 78 and 79. And again, there's the same people, Asimov, John Wyndham, John Christopher, all the kinds of things you'd expect to find in books like those at that time. And the other Edens collection from the 80s as well, which was something that came out when I was at university. And I remember in the midst of reading all these classics, finding this up-to-the-minute 1988 anthology of new science fiction in the university bookshop, and that being a big deal, that being exciting. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I've had a kind of science fiction-y afternoon. More than just reading science fiction. It's science fiction that I either did read or wish I'd read when I was 10 or 11. When I was reading things like this, which I also reread this afternoon, Terry Nation's story, The Secret Invasion, about the Daleks being found underneath London by 4 kids out for the afternoon for somebody's birthday. And I wish I'd read... these anthologies were actually even available then. Some of them were. At that point, that's where I should have gone off, because... as I always say, I read and reread the Doctor Who books maybe too much. And I needed to branch out more. But I think I was quite voracious. I just remembered reading Steps Out of Time, a wonderful time travel novel by Eric Houghton. We read half of it in junior school in my last year. And poor Miss Booth didn't get to the end of it before we left the school. And I was the kind of kid who then went to the library to find the book and order it and take it out and finish it because I'd enjoyed it so much. So I think I'm hard on myself when I think of myself as not being dedicated enough a reader when I was that age. I think I probably was. What I'd love to do is go back in time to W.H. Smith's, a bookshop and stationers and record shop and card shop that seems to be under threat right now. It seems to be about to go the same way as Woolworths went all those years ago. And I really hope not, although it's not as good as it used to be. When I was a kid, W.H. Smith's was the most exciting place in the universe. And it's there, especially in Darlington, running up their monogrammed carpet, which was orange and brown like something out of The Shining, with these wide stairs. You'd run upstairs to find the new releases, which for me at that time, of course, meant the new Doctor Who books. What I'd love to do is go back in time and look at the the release in general fiction for kids for the age I was then, and spend all the pocket money I have on books from that time, because I do think they are probably better than what we get now for grown-ups and kids. But maybe it's just a golden time because it's the time I was learning to become a reader, I suppose. It's everybody's golden age, isn't it? When you learn to read and to love reading for its own sake, for yourself. Here's the cat shouting, come on, shouting like mad. Come on, Socks. Come on. Is it wet outside? Is that what's going on? Or it's time to go and make the pizzas. I didn't think he was that bothered. Oh, look. I know what it is. You want some of these. Well, I think I probably give you too many dreamies, don't I? Are you going to jump all the way from there? Look, here they are. Okay. Sock says thank you, Julian and Graham, for his dreamies. He is frantic and dropping them down the side of the chair in his haste. Goodbye, everyone, and I'll see you again quite soon. Goodbye.